I basically thought it'd be a fun little idea for a video to do a Soulsbourne tier list because this is one of my, if not my favorite kind of series when it comes to gaming, because I just think it's a really good series in gaming. I've played through all of these games on the PS5, and that's the only console I've played them on. I've played all the DLCs, killed every secret boss. So I think I am warranted to have an opinion on these games, considering I've played pretty much all the content there is to do in these games. So I guess we just get into it instead of me just waffling on. So we have Demon Souls first for the PS5. Yeah, so this was remastered for the PS5. Looks really good, plays very well, sounds very good in game. It's just a genuinely solid game. But they didn't go back and, not surprisingly, change anything other than really that. And I think they added a few animations as well. But it is held back by how dated, and how inexperienced the From Software team was back pre-2010, whenever they made this. So it is held back by that. The majority of the bosses are pretty terrible. There's not insane weapon variety. So I think it's a good game, looks good. I'm on my second playthrough at the moment. It's a solid game, but it's nowhere near the best, so I think it does belong in B tier. But nevertheless, good game. Would recommend buying it if you are interested in any of these games or have played any of these games. Still a solid game. But yeah, that's all there really is to it. Elden Ring, the latest game in the Soulsbourne family from Software. This game is pretty incredible. Took over the internet for quite a few months, I would say, since it came out in February. Yeah, they went open world with it. I think they did so many things right and so many things better than a lot of these other games. But there is a few problems I have with it. One being kind of the scale of the game. I think it's great that the game is so big and there's so many weapons and whatnot. But I feel like they could have cut a lot of content and the game would have actually been better, and it still would have been a massive game. One of the areas that comes to mind that I think is quite bad is the snow area, especially the kind of just before the fire giant, and you just run into kind of reskins, or enemies are just enlarged, so there's like a big spider, he's just got more health, no new moves, just more health. The birds, just kind of similar to the birds we've seen before, if not the exact same, more health, bigger. I just didn't find it interesting. And yeah, but nonetheless, I do enjoy this game a lot. I've completed the game twice, and I'm on my third playthrough. I think the weapon variety is so good. The amount of content in this game is really, really good. A lot of the bosses are beautifully done. I really like Melania. I think she's one of the best bosses in all of the Souls games. I think Elden Beast lets it down a little bit, but I think overall, what they did with the open world, not littering it with, defeat this base, it's level 20 or whatever, and quest logs and all that rubbish. It's just an open world, and what they did with the map as well, revealed it over time, kept getting bigger, and I think everyone enjoyed this game when they played it. It is a really phenomenal game, and you can tell they put a lot of love into this game, like they've done with many others. So, where does it rank? Now, I definitely think it belongs in S tier, but that will move. It will stay in S tier for now. it doesn't belong anywhere other than S tier for me, um, because of just how much content in this game, how much high quality content is in this game. Although I do have my gripes with it, it's still a phenomenal game. You know, they're reusing models over and over again, but I can deal with that when the game is just so good in loads of aspects. So yeah, that will move, but it belongs in S tier. Now, Dark Souls 3. Now, this is a game. For me, it is the best Dark Souls game. Not by a long shot, but the kind of fluidity of your movements and the way you attack, the bosses in this game, the weapon variety and the kind of class variety you can go with in this game is a lot of replayability in this game. So for me, Dark Souls 3 has got to be S tier. Now, do I think it is better than Elden Ring? God, that is difficult. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna leave it there for now, but that may change. Because I think as a condensed kind of start to finish package, I think Dark Souls 3 is just better from a quality standpoint, and they're not reusing enemies over and over again. There's not massive areas that I think are bad. In Dark Souls 3, the DLCs are great. I hope the Elden Ring DLCs come out and they're great. That may push it up. But yeah, the DLCs are great. The main game is great. Weapon variety's there. Pretty much the best kind of gameplay in all the series, as far as fluidity comes, in Elden Ring as well. But yeah, it belongs in S tier. It may move in the future, but yeah, one of my favorite games in the series. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice. Now, when I say I've never been more mad at a game in my life, I mean it. And I've played FIFA, so that should tell you something. Now, although I got insanely mad when I played Sekiro, this game is beautiful and it is very well made. The core gameplay is so beautiful. Although there was very little customization, it's all like kind of the only really customization you have is the stances and the shinobi tools, which is enough. But the kind of deflect and posture system, I think is so great for a samurai game like they made. I do actually think it's the hardest game in the series, mainly because of the you can't dual wield heavy swords and just stagger them and max level your weapon and because you have or level up vigor and strength and dex and all that, because Sekiro's a different game. It isn't, they strayed away from the level system and kind of wanted to make a more focused samurai tale. And I think it is good that they strayed away just for one game. Obviously, I really love the system they've created. But yeah, Sekiro is a very, very good game. It definitely deserved Game of the Year. The story's great. I think the boss fights are very good. But yeah, it's a very difficult game. If you haven't played Sekiro yet, I would definitely play pretty much all these Soul games before to prepare you for Sekiro and how difficult that game is. I think it could be a lot easier if you're good at timing and reaction times. Perhaps maybe I wasn't the best at it, and that's why I struggled so much with it, but I still did enjoy it, and I look back at it very fondly, and I plan to play again. So as far as ranking in this tier list and the From Software games, I think Sekiro belongs in A tier, below S tier, and these S tier games, and I say that because I think it comes down to overall replayability and customization and stuff like that, which I do love a lot in all these other games. So it's going to be hard to enter S tier when it's so much less replayable than, you know, anything else. Because, you know, you can't change weapons. You have to, you know, use a samurai sword. But yeah, phenomenal game. I'd recommend you play it, but play all the other ones first just to prepare you for it. Yeah, belongs in A tier. Very, very well made game. Better than Demon Souls, not as good as the creme de la creme in the series. So I think it belongs in A. And yeah, Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin. Or Kin, I just can't remember. I think it's Sin. Yeah, I played this very recently. I've only played it once. I've played all the DLCs as well. Yeah, this game has so many good ideas, but for every good idea, it feels like they've thrown in about 3 bad ones. So it's about a 1-to-3 ratio when it comes to good and bad ideas. When it comes to this game, Miyazaki didn't direct it, and I think that's very apparent when you play Dark Souls 2. Now this is the best edition of the game. Oh, I didn't say this before, but I've moved these to the right because they're just, you know, basically worse editions of ones that I've played, and just less content or worse performance in one way or another. So these 3, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, and Demon Souls for the PS3, I'm not going to be ranking because they're just, you know, B-Tech versions of the one that exist after them. So yeah, so Dark Souls 2 Scholar of the First Sin. Yeah, it has so many good ideas, and a lot of those good ideas came back for Elden Ring, because I believe the director of Dark Souls 2 actually, I think he helps on all the games, if I'm not mistaken, but I think he had a pretty big role in Elden Ring's, you know, creation and gameplay and ideas. So power stancing came back, for example, so dual wielding a colossal sword is, you know, you're able to do that in Elden Ring and Dark Souls 2 and none other game. So I think that was good. But yeah, the enemy placement, that a lot of the bosses are just, they don't even fight back. Yeah. The kind of the way they design some of the areas, I just don't like. I think a lot of the games are very grey and like forgettable, but I did have fun with it. Although I did get very annoyed at enemy placement and stuff, and Lost Bastille, there's like 100 enemies in that room, and yeah, not good. But is it a terrible game? No. Is it playable? Yes. Does it have one of the best, you know, replayability wise? Yes. There are so many soul boss weapons, so that's great. Quite unique weapons. So yeah, and the DLC, I've not mentioned the Dark Souls DLCs as far as how much I like them. I think they're pretty damn good as far as Dark Souls 2, and, you know, in relation to Dark Souls 2. I think some of the best content is in the DLC, if I'm being honest. Does it save the game? No. Is the DLC better than all the other DLCs from other games? No. But does it make the game better as a package? Yes. There's 3 DLCs, if you didn't know. I would recommend playing them, because they do actually, like, some of the best content in Dark Souls 2. But when we come to ranking it, I'm going to have to put it, I think, would I rather play Demon Souls on the PS5 or Dark Souls 2 on the PS5? I think I'd rather play Demon Souls on the PS5, if I'm being honest. One's just a lot more polished. Obviously, it's been remastered by Bluepoint on a next gen, or current gen now, console. And yeah, I don't think it's C or D. It's playable. Had a lot of good ideas, but a lot of bad ones. Another problem, you can't move in a 360-degree kind of rotation. Like, you imagine your left analog stick on a controller. If you pointed at 10 degrees from northeast, right or left, it would just snap to northeast. It wouldn't go, 10 degrees, 5 degrees, 15 degrees from where they've locked it in. It's kind of like a 16-degree compass. 16-point compass, and it kind of snaps to that. So yeah, that's quite bad. You do get used to it, but again, it's just, why is 360-degree turning when running and walking not in the game? I have no idea. But yeah, still playable, enjoyable, but yeah, I think we can all agree that it's the worst in the series. So B tier is where it belongs. Bloodborne. Now, if you follow this series in any way, which I presume you do considering you're watching this video, you will know that everyone pretty much loves this game. It's just great at the kind of gothic, Victorian horror. Like, it's just so beautiful, the setting, the art direction, the weapons, the bosses, the music. Everything in this game is so... Well, I say everything. We'll come to some of the flaws I have in a minute. But the scale of this game is so beautiful, and I can't help... It's one of the few games in this list, although I think about this whole series pretty damn frequently, and about replaying a lot of the games. I cannot not think about Bloodborne. Every 2 weeks I'll think about Bloodborne. It's that memorable. The DLC is also good, great even. Yeah, the Orphan of Kos at the end, which is a great boss fight. And yeah, what more do you want me to say? It's Bloodborne. Everyone knows how good it is. It's definitely S tier. I think it's my favourite Soulsbourne game that From Software has ever made. I think it's better than Elden Ring, and the reason why I say that, although Elden Ring has so much content, and I really love how I've only used about 20 weapons properly in Elden Ring, and there are over 100. I don't know how many exactly, but there's a lot. But the thing with Bloodborne is that start to finish, it's just the best ride you'll ever go on. It's just phenomenal. There's no other way to put it. Now, problems with Bloodborne. Now there are problems with Bloodborne. They're few and far between, but we all know 30 FPS. Now, you really do get used to it when you're playing Bloodborne, the 30 FPS that it's locked to, and somehow it actually drops below that, like somewhat frequently. Somehow, I have no idea how. There are visual, fidelity problems and stuff, and I really hope they do remaster it, because if they remastered it like they did with the Blue Point Demon Souls remake, that would sell so many copies. It's unreal. It's just printing off money at that point. But yeah, the final boss fight with spoilers, by the way. Well, we already know. The final fight with Gehrman, incredible. There's just so many good fights, so many good moments. The areas are done very well. It's got like very few annoying areas. I don't think there's like any really that are like really annoying. Like we'll come to in a minute with Dark Souls Remastered. But yeah, it's my favourite. No shock there that I've put it the highest it can be. So I guess we'll just move on. Bloodborne's the GOAT. Dark Souls Remastered. I believe this came out in 2018, I want to say. Yeah, it's a remaster, 60 FPS, but yeah, the game still does not look good. It looks quite bad. It looks quite dated. The art style again carries it when it comes to visual, looking at it. Um, Dark Souls 1 was my second game I played in the series. Bloodborne was my first. And it was a beautiful journey and experience because I think the best way to play Dark Souls and experience Dark Souls is to basically go in as blind as possible, and as I would argue it's probably the best first Souls game you can play because it you don't know anything. You have no idea where to go, what item to pick, what's going on, what to level up, what not to level up. How to fight, how staggering, and you have poise works, nothing. And that's how I went in. Although I had played Bloodborne by this point, Bloodborne is missing a lot of the, Dark Souls gameplay elements. So I was still very much a FromSoft Soulsbourne noob. So once I finished that game, I couldn't help but praise it and think fondly of it. The music is incredible. It has so many iconic fights, Ornstein and Smo being one of them. Gwyn, although he's fairly easy, especially if you parry him. The music alone, like, come on, like, how much love went into this game is just unmatched. It's basically, I guess you could say not I guess, you could say Demon's Souls is the foundation for all of these games, but for me, Dark Souls is kind of the foundation because the interconnected world is beautiful. The music, the boss fights. Yes, there are annoying areas like Blighttown, the Poison Swamp, Toxic, you just die. Some of the boss fights, Sam Demon being reused and just put fire on her. And some of the enemy placement is so dumb, especially in the hell area. But I can't help but love Dark Souls 1 remastered. I really can't. It's something about it's just so special. It's kind of got that Bloodborne energy for me. It's just so special, especially when you look back on it and you just think about the music that they crafted for this game and the Ornstein and Smo fight. Pinwheel, even though he's a terrible fight, it's just iconic. This game is just iconic to me, and I think a lot of others. So where would I rank Dark Souls 1 Remastered? The first in the trilogy, second game in the series. I would put it in S tier. It definitely belongs in S tier. Now, as far as placing it, I'm going to have to put it at the bottom of S tier. And that's basically because I can't put it above Dark Souls 3 because the gameplay is just so much better and fluid. The weapon variety, class variety is higher in Dark Souls 3. Again, Elden Ring's just got way too much content and weapon variety, class variety, quality bosses for me to not put it higher, and then Bloodborne's Bloodborne. So bottom of S tier, I think, is where it belongs. For me, it can't drop below S tier. It's better than Sekiro, and yeah, it belongs in S tier. It's a phenomenal game. I recommend you play all these games, to be honest. It's a great series. And yeah, I guess that concludes my tier list. This may have annoyed a few people, but I feel for the most part this is kind of, if the community were to collectively rank it, I know that would be quite hard to do. But I feel like this would be something similar. Maybe, moving a few up or down. But yeah, I feel like it's fairly agreeable. But yeah, that's my tier list. If you enjoyed this video, like it if you enjoyed it. You can dislike it if you didn't like it. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, more tier lists. I'm doing multiverse content as well. Perhaps more Soulsbourne tier list in the future. I didn't mention the From Software news game has been kind of rumored to be nearly done. I hope that is a very good game. I'm sure it will be. I mean, their track record speaks for itself. And yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.